Hey everyone, Kyle Ford here with Hometown Realty of Duval. Today, I wanted to go through some of the news updates we've had on affordable housing for our city and give y'all a little synopsis on what's going on for affordable housing. So let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here and we'll get right to it. So some of the local news stories we've seen over the past few weeks, past few months, we're going to go through and kind of give you an update. What's going on with affordable housing here in Jacksonville? So the first thing first, we got, what do you consider affordable housing? It's debatable here in Jacksonville. So First Coast News, this is a document or a report by them. They start going in to talk about a specific property. What caught the attention of Nixon is that they cost nearly $1,200 for 320 square feet. Talking about a certain shipping container apartment, right? Something very niche, very specific. It is located in downtown Jacksonville. And basically, this complaint, this curiosity prompted a news report for us to talk about what does affordable housing mean to you? What do you consider affordable housing? It's not even a good example to use. Wow, that's not affordable to me, especially with the square footage. So now they start talking about how much this specific home is listed at per square foot. So these prices are going to jump, and you're not going to be able to compare that to many other 600 square foot apartments. It's just not the same. Now, if we get to a point that we're building container homes and they're not affordable, come on. Let's be honest. Are we even trying anymore? This container home was specifically put in a great location because it would bring in a lot of money for rent. I don't even know where that's at particularly. I haven't been over there, but I can guarantee you that's why the price is other ways. So now we have somebody saying, you have got to get a handle on these institutional investors, the corporate landlords, because they control the supply. Now, they're not wrong. There's a couple landlords in our city with over 250 homes. There's a couple landlords with 500 homes in this city. People have realized that if they buy every single home, it's like stocks. We can cause the prices to go up. Now, the long-term investors are reaping the benefits. These short-term investors who are coming in to make a fix and flip, make a quick play and get out, these people are about to get burned. If you're just now getting into buying up rental property, there's a good chance you're about to get burned if you're depending on rent rates that are much higher than what we're used to, essentially. These rent rates may not stay here. We're starting to see a decline in rent rates right now, and we're starting a very minor decline. But if anything, rent rates are staying the same to what they were last year. There are more rentals coming to the market. There's less Airbnbs coming out, so there's more long-term rentals. There's less homes that were empty that are now remodeled for rentals. So essentially, the rental market is getting to be a point that it's starting to even out slightly. We're still seeing increases in certain areas that should never be at the rates they're at. How do who do you blame? Do you blame the corporate landlords, these big giant people? Slightly. You could blame the big corporate investors who came in here, the institutional investors. I don't want to say any names, but the ones especially who came in here to offer to buy your home, and they would take it off your hand for cash. You don't even have to deal with the repairs, but then they got sued for millions of dollars and shut down. Those companies no longer get into investing because they did it wrong and they ruined a lot of areas. They pretty much, what do you call it? Don't shit where you sleep, and that's what they did. So the next thing we're going to go over is one of the parts of the Live Local Act is to distribute $700 million to affordable housing projects. The state is looking to spend $700 million on affordable housing. Let's go ahead and check it out. 25,000 affordable housing units may be built. So the Live Local Act allocates a lot more than $700 million for affordable housing projects. Affordable housing advocates in Jacksonville says a tenant bill of rights is needed. A tenant bill of rights? Seriously? That's what okay, $700 million, we want to build affordable housing. What's the issue? We need more affordable housing. What's the solution? They estimate the Live Local Act will lead to 20 to 25,000 new affordable housing units. Boom. There's our solution. Build 20 to 25,000 affordable housing units. Bam, solution done. Start building. Put it in writing. Let's get it going. But They asked Henderson if this act will solve the state's affordable housing problems. No, meaning, although they're going to build these affordable housing, it's not going to stop the affordability issue we're having. This is based on supply and demand. That's a fact. So long that you have a vibrant growth state, you're going to keep pumping money in for affordable housing. That's just the truth. That is the truth. But what you can't do is forget about people. You can't just throw them to the side. You can't just make laws that say you can't panhandle or else you'll go to jail. Because I promise you, it's going to turn around. There's too many people falling into this position. You're not going to be able to just hide them behind a wall. You're not going to be able to just put them in a shelter and say, if you don't stay in the shelter, you don't deserve anything. No. We have to help them. We have to educate. We have to bring resources. We have to bring in food. We have to bring in education to a lower level to where we can get them at it in school to be able to leave this part of an unaffordable lifestyle and learn about financial awareness, learn about getting a job, learn about educating themselves. We have to bring this type of information, these tools in areas that don't have it. We can't just go keep building the south side of Jacksonville. So next, Jacksonville housing advocates say a tenant bill of rights would give tenants extra protection and help tenants understand what their rights are. The main thing is we want for tenants to have protections from rent hikes without proper notice. Okay, that's easy. That doesn't take a bill of rights. That takes one law, 60-day notice on any increase of rent, period. Just making an executive order, put it in writing. That's it. You can't stop supply and demand. You can't give the rights to tenants. Say you don't have to pay rent because rent went up so high. No, you can't. You can't. This is someone else's home. They own it. It's their rules. They just have laws to abide by. Let's go on. Next story. You can see why this is very frustrating. All right. Have you been or are you on the waiting list for affordable public housing? So now this is talking about people who have gone down to the housing authority. They're on Section 8 or they're on an affordable housing wait list. Okay. Public housing and Section 8 are two different things. They don't tell you this anywhere. They don't like to air this. They don't like to talk about this, but it should be acknowledged in the real estate space. It should be acknowledged as you're getting your license as a real estate licensee, because we're losing the ability to even sell homes because people need affordable housing. So let's talk about this. Waiting list, affordable housing. How many people are on there? Several stories of the past years about the lack of affordable housing. Years, right? Years. So before this COVID crisis, this was an issue already. We had empty homes on every block. Empty homes on every block 3, 4, 5 years ago. And now, because of the supply and demand, the West Coast moving to the east, New York moving down to Florida, all this stuff happening. More people are struggling to make ends meet. We're talking about locals here. More and more locals are struggling to make ends meet and find housing that they can afford. Right now, nearly 150,000 people on the waiting list for affordable housing. Now, when I went to the housing authority, I was told by the front desk person 32,000. Then her manager stepped over her and said, no, 50,000. Then Donna Deegan went on the news and said 150,000. What's the number? This should be on an Excel sheet. This should be easily readable. What is the number? Are you lying? Who's lying? Is the housing authority lying? Is their manager lying? Or is Donna Deegan lying? Because that's the point we're at. No one's got a true number. So we can't even get the facts straight to even fix the issue. All right, so moving on. It's a very biased political question, right? If I wanted to go and audit all of the people requesting Section 8 and define a stricter rule set for who gets Section 8, who gets public housing, who gets any assistance, what would that look like? Do you have to try effort? Do you have to at least show effort? Do you have to get drug tested? Do you have to pay in some? We're talking about there is an issue where people, half of this list, nearly 150,000 people, even if you cut it down to 75,000 people that are abusing the system, right? So we're still at 75,000 people. They have no plans to build anything, 20 to 25,000 affordable units, right? So we can only maybe fill a third of this issue, but it's going to take years to build those. So this issue is only getting worse as we read and as we speak. All right, so next story, we're going to go ahead and go over Jacksonville Church developing affordable homes amid rental housing crisis. So this is pretty interesting, I thought. A church is now getting involved in building affordable housing amid the rental housing crisis. This church is revitalizing a shopping center on the city's north side. Now, They want to break ground on a development that includes 34 townhomes. Okay. They said they want to teach people how to become homeowners. Oh, that's great. That's so nice of them. So this is a church who is now involved in real estate sales, right? So they say, in the name of affordable housing, I'm going to help homeowners become homeowners. You renter turn into a buyer. That's what they're trying to do, essentially. But in the middle of all this, they profit and don't have to fucking pay taxes. So you got to love it. So it's located on Sutel Drive, New Kings Road. And if you know Sutel Drive, you know they could use some new homes over there, period. Brand new homes going to help the market values of everyone nearby. Essentially, they are defining it as market priced. So people there living there are in low wage jobs. The median income is $69K for a household in Jackson. That's median. That doesn't mean everyone makes that. If you're in a low wage job area, that means you're making less than that. So it means that anyone who's going to occupy these homes will be paying more than 30% of their income. Welcome to America 2023. That's everyone, unfortunately. So I'm not mad at these people for wanting to build homes. I'm just mad at the tax-free write-off situation. I'm mad at the profit center, that what it is, instead of just let's give away a fucking home. Find the oldest lady that's been coming to the church the longest, that lost her home or can't pay her bills, and give it to her. Pay the taxes too, pay the insurance so she don't lose it in a year. Now, we're going over to the next story. Our building in 90, this is the good news, real good news. Vestcor Building 90 unit affordable apartments in West Jacksonville. West Jacksonville, Northwest Jacksonville, they're on the come up. You know, just like this guy building 69 homes, that's a lot of homes for that area. And he's helping that area. He's already helped build another home. They're trying to develop the area. So they are working internally from the inside. So let's give them some praise on that note. But on the west side of Jacksonville, we have 90 units for 55 plus up communities. So these people, Vestcor, are actually there's a huge demand in almost all areas of town for senior affordable housing. If you didn't know, like half of my customers that call me on Section 8 are seniors. Half the people looking for assistance that can no longer get it are seniors. It's going to be really bad in the future if we don't build more senior living. So monthly rents will be $875 for the 2 studio units. For the 2 studio, and then $931 for 1 bedrooms and 1 bathrooms, and then $1,100 for 2 bedrooms. $1,100 for 2 bedrooms, brand new, 55 up. So there's probably some amenities there. Is that affordable? No, it's not. All of the seniors of this century didn't earn enough income, and their Social Security is barely that. Like, they're actually building brand new units for less than $1,000. That's rare. That's super rare. So let's give it to them. This is going to be affordable to a good portion of people. I see it all the time. Social Security being about $800 for a lot of people. 800. That ain't going to do it. So the best part about these people is they're saying 90% of the units, 81 units, will be adults age 55, making up to 60% of the area median income. That's huge. So you're still working. Next, the remaining 9 or 10% of those making up $20,000. So if you make 21K or less, which is 30%, 33% of the area median income, so they're actually making this whole entire complex to those who need it. That's the only thing I can say. But this is awesome. This is one of the few things we need. We need senior living in Jacksonville. I wish more would be coming about. Next story. This is more recent, about a week ago. What is Jacksonville doing? Affordable housing. What are we doing? All right, Duval Democrats attack the Governor Desantis over Florida affordable housing. I'm going to put it this way. The state governor already awarded $700 million towards affordable housing in this city. The state awards money to the city. The city then has organizations like the Housing Authority, charities. The rest of the money goes to the Housing Authority, and then there's a little bit allocated to the city. City Council, it looks like they have a little bit of a part of it. The Housing and Development, Neighborhood and Community Development Department probably gets a little bit to oversee. At what point are we just going to build affordable housing? Now, you also want people to live somewhere where they actually feel like they matter. And a lot of times in Section 8 housing, where there's no way of transferring over from development to HUD back over to landlords. So this is talking about essentially someone building a complex or buying a complex placing a bunch of HUD tenants in there and then selling it to a new owner. The new owner then kicks them out and puts in regular tenants that don't have HUD housing or Section 8. Okay, so this issue is an issue. It's a huge issue. Is that a good thing? No, we just misplaced them. We just misplaced people who are in need. That's all we did. They're basically saying the lack of leadership for Ron Desantis. He doesn't care about Jacksonville, is what they're saying. One of the city council members said, as the city looks for solutions to affordable housing issues, the Republican supermajority in the state capitol has taken many of them away. I already talked to some of our state senators, by the way. This gentleman said, don't worry, we're working on it, but we can't get too involved. We're just at the state level. We're at the state level. The city has their hands on it. We already provided them the money. Now it's up to them to do what they want to do. They propose an idea. We approve it. We got two different parties. We got Democratic Jacksonville. We got Republican Florida state senates. That's an issue if we're going to get things approved, but it's not when it's put it on paper. Give us 1 + 1 = 2, and I guarantee you they'll approve it. The problem is they're just not giving out receipts. It's only up to us now on the local level to find the real solution. Yes, the solution is to build affordable housing. Make it enticing to investors to build affordable housing. We've done it before. We do it every other year before this COVID crisis. But now, because of the lack of supply and the demand of so many people, we have not put any type of caps on anything. It's time to just build units dedicated to affordable housing. Incentivize landlords to do affordable housing. Give them more than the rent rates. We're losing money every year. We gave millions of dollars to people to pay their rents. But during the crisis of COVID, these charities had all this money, and they were able to keep a large portion of it by saying we're handing and managing this to help out those in a crisis. In the middle of this, while paying their rent, these people are living above their means. That's the point that we're dealing with. We're dealing with charities taking advantage of the city's funds given to us by the state. These charities that they have more control because they're offering some type of solution where the housing authority, they're stuck. They have 30,000 to 150,000 people on a waiting list, and they can't place anybody in homes because they don't work with the Realtor Association. The Realtor Association doesn't want to work with them. Not only that, but they're stuck they don't educate landlords. They try to, but their levels are very limited. It's like they're in the 1990s. They're 20 years behind on communicating to the public on what their issues are and how to resolve them. We could have been solving this 5 years ago. This waiting list didn't begin this year. This waiting list of 32 to 150,000 people didn't begin last year. It didn't begin in 2021 or 2020. This thing has been going on for years. So you have an office full of receptionists, full of assistants, full of managers managing a waiting list for nothing with a whole office to organize this mess. But in reality, for the last few years, they've just been organizing a list and taking questions every day from people on this waiting list. Just a complete waste of resources for years. So now it's time for a complete change of the housing authority. It's time for a complete change in the allocation of funds to these charities. It's time for a complete change in the allocation of funds to these builders who say they're going to build affordable housing, but end up building units that they don't even rent to Section 8 renters. So now it comes to our next story. Affordable housing report provides solutions for mayor, city, council to consider. Ready? This is the affordable housing department. Let's get to it. All right. One part of the mayor's Deegan's transition committee has been focusing on, and in their final report, they offer some solutions for the mayor and city council to consider. So they got in this position, they got appointed to this position, and they didn't have this ready. Imagine, this is the type of issue we're having. We have people running for office, and they have plans, but they don't have it planned. How did you get here? You just lied and you put out a bunch of okay. So I've been looking for somewhere to stay for at least 3 months, Murray said. Listen, I've got a number of people that are looking like this person right here, looking for 3 months. There are people who have been waiting for years on the waiting list. She and her kid were forced out of their home after a fire destroyed her apartment complex. They have been saying with family and friends, she is one of the tens of thousands of people in Jacksonville trying to find a housing. There's a voucher to pay for a new place to live, but no one will take it. Why? Because there's 150,000 people and there's only 200 listings, and probably 30% of those listings are outdated. That's it. The Realtor Association doesn't work with affordable housing. We don't list Section 8 rentals. We're not allowed to. It's against fair housing if I put this house is not allowing Section 8 or this house is allowing Section 8. Can you believe that? It's against fair housing. At least that's what the Realtor Association of Miami declared. Now, the Realtor Association of Northeast Florida, they haven't declared this anywhere publicly. It's not in writing anywhere that can be found to the general public. They all declare it to be a fair housing violation when it's common sense to state that if we're not helping them, we're fucking violating fair housing by not offering assistance to those. We are actually making it 10 times worse. We're actually making it worse. So this whole fair housing needs to change. The idea of the Realtor Association not being able to put a checkbox that says, yes, this home accepts Section 8. If I'm being forced when I list a home to put whether or not this home has a pool, I should be forced whether or not this home for rent can accept Section 8. The lack of educated realtors and property managers who don't even know about Section 8. That's huge. That's more than half. More than half of realtors and property managers don't even know how to do, what to do, or if you can do Section 8. That's a problem. We list properties and then we don't even make it available to them because we don't want to teach the association members. So that issue needs to be resolved quickly. It's not against fair housing. Homeowners who we are representing as property managers have the right to deny Section 8 renters. I can publicly post this homeowner denies the right list to a Section 8 renter. That's not against fair housing. That's the owner's demands. I'm working for the owner. If that is against the law, we're going to change it. That's what I'm moving towards. It doesn't make any sense. It only hurts those in need. I can't list my properties to theirs. They want me to listen to a website called affordablehousing.gov, which is supposed to be nationally recognized. So I can be inquired by people everywhere across the nation to see if my Section 8 rental is available. When if I post one time in a Facebook group that I have a Section 8 property available, it will be bombarded by locals who need it. This is the issue I have with I use a realtor association to list my properties because it's localized. So next up, these are the 3 topics. Approve housing efficiency. Next, that doesn't do anything for affordable housing. Come on. Appoint a chief housing officer whose job would be to focus on the housing crisis. This is where we're at. They're still trying to pick and choose who gets to be the blame. Appoint a chief housing officer. You go into you fucking build affordable housing. That's what you do. Increase attainable housing. Once again, another little biased word, a word that could be used in so many different terms. Attainable housing. What the? So they're not working on affordable housing at all, people. That's what you should know. At the end of the day, they're not building affordable housing. The only person who is Vestcor, who's building senior living. They probably have a niche of doing senior living. That's awesome. We need more senior living, straight up. But other than that, don't depend on affordable housing coming. You can depend on the market leveling, interest rates rising and it becoming harder to buy, causing prices to have to drop. But the demand is still pushing for people to come here to Florida. People are still buying homes for cash when they can. People are still, investors are buying the last of the homes available. They are. If this home has been empty for 20 years, it's being bought. It's no longer going to be empty. If you've noticed homes that were empty on every other block on certain sides of town, it won't be like that. In a few more years, it won't be like that. They're going to be moving people, and gentrification is in full effect. There's never been a good example of gentrification. That's going to be another topic for another video sometime soon. There's never been a good example of gentrification. It always ends bad. So as much as we want to look into, the great growth of our city, we need to look into the corruption. We need to look into where the money's at. We need to look into who the people are that are in need and how we can help them, which is building affordable housing. That's it. So I hope this has been a good video. This has been a little bit of a longer one than I expected to do, but that's my update on affordable housing. It's August 22nd, 2023. Hope it's been good.